Marginal productivity theory under imperfect competition. We have already seen the marginal productivity theory under perfect competition. Marginal productivity theory applies to the condition of perfect competition. When we saw the assumptions, we saw that one of the assumption was there is perfect competition both in the factor market and the product market. So marginal productivity theory applies to the condition of perfect competition. But in the real life, we face imperfect competition. Therefore, economists like Robinson and Chamberlain have analyzed the factor pricing under imperfect competition. So let us see the marginal productivity theory under imperfect competition. So in this graph, on the x-axis, we have plotted the factor units, and on the y-axis, we have the factor price and revenue product. So AFC, what do you mean by AFC? Average fixed cost. What is MFC? Marginal fixed cost. ARP, average revenue product, and MRP is marginal revenue product. So on the y-axis, we have plotted factor price as well as revenue products. AFC, the price paid to the factors. So what is AFC? Average fixed cost is the price paid to the factors of production. So what happens to the average fixed cost? It increases as the number of factors demanded by the employer increases. So this is the AFC curve. This curve is called as the AFC curve. What happens to the AFC curve? It slopes upwards from the left to the right. So as you employ more and more factor units, the cost increases. So as AFC rises, MFC curve also rises, and it lies above AFC. This point you have to remember. As AFC rises, MFC lies above AFC. So it represents the marginal cost paid to the factors. MFC means the marginal factor cost. AFC is average factor cost. So at this, look at this diagram, and you can find out at Q, at the point Q, MFC is equal to MRP. That is the point of equilibrium. MFC is equal to MRP. Red color, this blue color line is MRP curve. Red is ARP. This dotted line is MFC. So Q, this point is called as the equilibrium, where the blue color curve, MRP curve, cuts the dotted blue color MFC curve. MFC means marginal fixed cost, MRP. So Q is the place where MFC and MRP are equal. So this is the point where MRP and MFC is equal. This is the point of equilibrium. So from equilibrium, you have to draw a perpendicular line to the x-axis. It meets at the point N. So the factor units is ON. ON is the number of factors. And what is your MFC? Your marginal fixed cost is NQ. NQ. Are you able to understand, girls? So here at the point Q, MFC is equal to MRP. That is the point of equilibrium, where the employer attains his maximum profit. So equilibrium is the point where he attains the maximum profit. And so he stops employment of factors at the point. இந்த பாயிண்ட்டுக்கு மேல அவர் என்ன பண்ண மாட்டாரு, இந்த பர்டிகுலர் பாயிண்ட் ரீச் பண்ண பிறகு இதுதான் என்னது ஈக்குவலிபிரியம். இதுக்கு மேல அவர் ஃபேக்டர் யூனிட்ஸ் என்ன பண்ண மாட்டாரு, எம்ப்ளாய் பண்ண மாட்டாரு. ஏன்னா பண்ணான்னா அவருக்கு லாஸ் ஆயிரும். எல்லா ஆண்டர்பிரினருக்கும் ஏம் என்னது, ப்ராஃபிட். அப்ப எது வரைக்கும் தான் எம்ப்ளாய் பண்ணுவாரு, ON யூனிட்ஸ் வரைக்கும் தான் எம்ப்ளாய் பண்ணுவார். எவ்வளோ யூனிட்ஸ், ON. ஹீ வில் ஹையர் ஃபேக்டர்ஸ் அப் டு ON. இங்க வந்த பிறகு ஹைரிங்க ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிடுவாரு. So what is your average cost here? NR is your average cost. How do you find out the average cost? You see this line. இந்த லைன்ல ஓகே, AFC curve எங்க கட் பண்ணுது, இந்த இடத்துல கட் பண்ணுது. எந்த இடத்துல, ஆறுன்னு அந்த இடத்துல கட் பண்ணுது. எந்த இடத்துல கட் பண்ணுது, ஆர். ஒரு நிமிஷம் இருங்க. It cuts at the point R. This point. Okay. So up to this it is called as average cost. இங்கிருந்து இது வரைக்கும் பேர் என்னது? average cost. ஏன் அதை average costன்னு சொல்றோம்? இந்த அவுட்புட் லைனை AFC curve வந்து இந்த இடத்துல தான் கட் பண்ணுது, இந்த இடத்துல. So this point is called as R. So NR is your average cost. Your average cost is NR. Okay. So what is your average revenue? Revenue பார்த்தா இங்க இருக்குது, இங்க தான் ARP curve இருக்கு, இதுதான் average revenue. அப்போ your average revenue is NQ. Your average revenue is NQ. What is your average cost? Your average cost is NR and your average revenue is NQ. அப்போ revenue is greater than cost. Did you understand? So இங்கிருந்து இது வரைக்கும் என்னது? average revenue. அப்போ ரெவென்யூ ஜாஸ்தி, காஸ்ட் கம்மி. அப்படின்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்? அவருக்கு 10 ரூபாய் வருது, ஆனால் அவர் எவ்வளவுதான் செலவு பண்ணுறாரு? 4 ரூபாய் தான் கொடுக்குறாரு. வேலை செய்கிறவங்களுக்குலாம் எவ்வளோ கொடுக்குறாரு? 4 ரூபாய் தான் கொடுக்குறாரு. அவர்கிட்ட எவ்வளோ வருது? 10 ரூபாய் வருது. தட் மீன்ஸ் he is exploiting the factors of production. The entrepreneur is exploiting. Actually, he is getting NQ, but he is giving only NR. So how much is he exploiting? He is exploiting QR. எவ்வளோ எக்ஸ்ப்ளாய்ட் பண்ணுறாரு? QR எக்ஸ்ப்ளாய்ட் பண்ணுறாரு. எவ்வளோ எக்ஸ்ப்ளாய்ட் பண்ணுறாரு? இந்த இடத்தை அவர் எக்ஸ்ப்ளாய்ட் பண்ணுறாரு. எந்த இடம்? QR. அதுதான் இங்கே கொடுத்துருக்கு. AC is equal to NR, AR is equal to NQ. So what is your total cost? How do you find out total cost? So your average cost is NR. Your average cost is NR. This is your average cost. How much is your factor units? ON. So ON into NR will give you NR S O. So your total cost is NR S O. That is your total cost. This area is your total cost. இங்கிருந்து இது வரைக்கும் தான் என்னது? உங்களுடைய total cost. How much is your total revenue? N Q P and O is your total revenue. Your total revenue is NQPO. This is your total revenue. This is your total revenue. Which is your total revenue? This is N. NQ P and O. This is your total revenue. But you are giving him only this much. இவ்வளோ காசு தான் கொடுக்குற. NR SO மட்டும் தான் கொடுக்குற. அப்போ this area is called as the profit for the entrepreneur. Your total cost is NRSO. Your total revenue is NQPO. Exploitation per unit is RQ. Your exploitation per unit is RQ. But your total production is factors used is ON. Total number of factors used is ON. So when you multiply ON into RQ, this is only ON. ON into RQ, or you can also put SR into RQ. You can put SR into RQ, which will give you PQRS. So this area is called as your profit. This shaded part is called as the profit under the imperfect competition. Were you able to understand? Shall I repeat this again? 1 minute. I will take the laser point. Okay. So on the x-axis, we have the factor units. On the y-axis, we have the factor prices and revenue. I am explaining it again for you girls. On the x-axis, we have marked the factor units. On the y-axis, we have marked the factor price, revenue, and the product. AFC curve, average fixed cost, it slopes upward, it rises. As it rises, MFC curve also rises and it lies above AFC. So MFC curve we have, then we have the ARP and the MRP curve. All these, the MFC and the MRP cut at Q. So Q is the point of equilibrium. So this is the place where the entrepreneur will stop employing the factors of production. So from Q, if you draw a line, we get ON. This line joins x-axis at N. So ON is the factor units. And how much is the price? OP is the price. So what happens here? You have to find out average cost. Where is your average cost curve? The average cost curve cuts QN at this point R. So your average cost is NR. NR is your average cost per unit. What is your average revenue? NQ is your average revenue. So the person is getting, entrepreneur is getting NQ revenue, but is giving away only NR. So this point R to Q is called as the exploitation per unit of factor. RQ is called as exploitation. What do you mean by that? Actually, the person must be given more salary, but the entrepreneur is giving him only less. So he's trying to exploit the factor of production. How much is he exploiting? He is exploiting RQ. So the total number of factors employed is ON. So ON into RQ, or you can say ON instead of ON, you can also say SR. SR into RQ will give you SRQP, which is called as the profit or the total exploitation of the factors. So this is the marginal productivity theory under imperfect competition. Hope you understood it. So we have seen marginal productivity theory of distribution, introduction. Then we saw the kinds of distribution of income. Then we saw the marginal productivity theory of distribution. We saw the assumptions. Then I explained what is meant by MPP, VMP and MRP. Then we saw the marginal productivity under perfect competition, marginal productivity theory under imperfect competition. Lastly, let us see the criticisms for this theory. In reality, the factors of production are not homogeneous. So in the real world, you cannot see any factor which is homogeneous. No two people will be identical or no two people will be similar in all their qualities. So the factors of production cannot be homogeneous. So factors of production cannot be substituted for each other. You cannot substitute each factors of production. Lastly, this theory is applicable only in the long run. In the assumption itself, we saw that it is applicable only in the long run. So this theory cannot be applied in the short period. So these are the criticisms. This is a very, very important question, girls, quite often asked in your public exam. 35th question. Explain the marginal productivity theory of distribution. Explain the marginal productivity theory of distribution. Question number 35. If that question is asked, you have to start from here. You have to write the introduction. You have to write the assumption. Then you have to write about MPP, VMP and MRP. Then you have to write marginal productivity theory under perfect competition, marginal productivity theory under imperfect competition, and then you have to end it up with the criticisms. Hope you understood it. Thank you, girls.